Welcome back to the Exalted Podcast. I have my friend Erin Tarr with me this morning. I am so excited to chat with you, Erin. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to chat with you as well. Thank you for having me today.
I just love you. You're just a bundle of energy and I love it. So Erin is the CEO of Be the Benchmark, which is just this fabulous organization that just helps teenage girls with confidence. And I know you guys do so much more than that. So tell me about the birth of Be the Benchmark.
Oh my goodness, the birth. It is a long birth story. As most entrepreneurial endeavors are. Am I right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Just over 10 years ago, I was working at a private school and I felt through various people, as well as my own inner spirit saying, you need to leave here and go start something of your own. You need to do something different. And I didn't know exactly what that would be at that time, but I knew I needed to take a job instead of a career. I was in a career at the school. I loved, doing the curriculum and hiring the teachers and working with parents and students. And I loved all of those things, but I knew that that was not going to afford me the time or the energy to also start an entrepreneurial endeavor. And so I just kind of left, not even knowing what that would be, took a job and really started blogging about the things that mattered most to me, which were my, at the time, 2 daughters. I now have 3 daughters, and parenting. And through kind of that process of discernment through my writing and speaking with other people, it became very clear to me that empowering the next generation of girls to live life to the fullest and give them the tools earlier to do that was really what it was all about for me. And so over the course of the last 10 years, I've done that in a variety of ways, from large scale events, monthly subscription memberships, small groups, one-on-one keynote speaking, and now a forthcoming book. So a little bit of everything.
That's so incredible. And it's so needed, right? Like I got to hear Erin speak this last spring at an event, and I just kept thinking, man, if I had had somebody speaking into my life when I was in my teen years, like so many things would have been so different. Like there would have been so much less unlearning as an adult because we learn all these awful things and it takes so much energy to unlearn them. And I kept thinking, gosh, man, I wish I would have had somebody like this in my life when I was in my teenage years. Right.
And that's exactly the way I look at it too. And having my 3 daughters, my oldest is now 14. That's really a lot of the impetus behind this. And sometimes I look at myself kind of as a Jiminy Cricket. Now that's not a huge character anymore in the Disney world. But when I was younger, Jiminy Cricket was the conscience of, Pinocchio, and then ultimately many other characters through a variety of Disney, crossover things or whatever. But that's kind of how I look at it. I get to be a cheerleader. I get to be a mentor. I'm also a personal development coach because I've done so much work on my own.
Right.
That I needed to do as an adult woman, especially an adult woman raising 3 daughters.
That unlearning.
Exactly. And so I want girls to wake up, and instead of at the age of 25, 35, 45, waking up and saying, oh my gosh, how did I get here? Why am I here? Is this where I wanted to be? And really having to unlearn and deconstruct how they feel about who they've become. Right. Instead, every day they get to wake up and say, today, what choices am I going to make to be the person I want to be and to go the places I want to go and to create the life that I want to live that is into my passions, right? And into giving back to the community and living life to its fullest.
So good. So do you do group coaching or individual coaching, or what does it look like with your clients?
So right now, my main focus is keynote speaking and one-on-one coaching. I love all of it. I've done all of it. I love all of it.
Yes.
But the biggest impact that I get to have is when I'm one-on-one with that girl and I can really sense what part of my story or other girls' stories or historical figures or the personal development techniques or the tools that are going to be best for them right then. Whereas when I'm in a group, I'm like, okay, we're all talking about this habit today, or we're all talking about this technique today, or we're all doing this, which is great. It's putting tools in their toolbox. But when girls are really ready to take off to the next level, one-on-one is really
Yeah.
exciting.
So who's your ideal client? Like someone comes to you, usually they have what problem that you can help them work through?
Overwhelm and insecurity.
Mm,
And most people don't have overwhelm in all areas of life or insecurity in all areas of their life, but in any small area. And I love girls who are ready for something new. So whether that's middle school or high school or college or leaving college and just entering the workforce, when they are really bravely stepping into a new phase of life, uh,
yeah.
that's so exciting to me because that is when overwhelm and insecurity hit us, right? And
Hmm.
so giving us the tools and then practicing them in real time for something that matters so much to them in that life stage. But as now an almost 43-year-old woman, I can see like, oh, that actually probably wasn't the biggest thing in my life at the age of
Right.
17, but at the time it seemed that way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But if I'd learned to practice it at the age of 17, then I could have practiced it at an even higher level at 25 and a higher level at 30 and
Yes.
those types of things and only leveled
Yes.
up. So
Yes.
that's the
And
goal. That's who I love working with.
the way that we handle like those situations, like it really can set a pattern for years to come unless we unlearn some things or we learn
Exactly.
healthy coping mechanisms or healthy tools to get through. And so it's just,
Yes.
it's so brilliant. What you do, Erin, is so incredibly important. So incredibly
Thank you.
important.
I love that you've caught the vision because that's the vision, that not having to unlearn all the things that we don't even realize we're learning, right? That's what
Yeah.
happens to us. No one
Mhm.
taught you to have negative self-talk. No one taught you to not listen to your body and what feels good and what feels right. No one taught
Right.
you these things. It's just we kind of like, this is the water that we swim in, right?
Yeah.
And so having the tools before we even realize we need the tools, wouldn't that be amazing for our kids, for the next generation, not just girls, but that's
Yeah.
just who I happen to work with.
Absolutely. I love it. So tell me about your book.
Oh, I'm so excited about my book. Thank you for asking. So it's called Your Fierce Life, and FIERCE is an acronym, and it's the 6 simple steps for daily confidence. So each letter stands for one of the simple steps for daily confidence. And the book goes into what each letter stands for. And not only that, because each of these are habits, mindsets, or attitudes that are going to be helpful throughout life, but
Yeah.
then it gives, how do you do this first thing in the morning in the entire 6 steps in less than 5 minutes.
Love it.
So starting every day out on the right foot. And that is truly, I mean, I can say both from my own experience as well as the experience of my daughters and hundreds of clients, that it makes a huge difference in our lives,
Right.
how we start in the morning and just putting these things in place. And then they start to grow in our lives. So I'm
Yeah.
super excited. I can't wait.
That's so good. And when does that come out?
It will be out by the end of October. I don't have an exact date yet. My editor is finishing up some things and we're deciding the final cover design. But yes, it will be available on Amazon as well as through my website and all of that.
So super exciting. And so your ideal reader there is probably teen girls, right? Or do you think adults?
Absolutely. It was written with teen girls in mind. I also have a parent guide, a teacher guide, and a youth group leaders guide in the back with
Wow.
ideas of how they can help implement it either with their family. So I talk about how we take a great family to a fierce family, or a great classroom to a fierce classroom, or a great youth group to a fierce youth group. Because
Love
once
it.
it becomes a part of your vernacular and a way that you guys all understand, we're all doing these things together. So like the F stands for feel gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
So when we have that as kind of a mantra and an understanding of this is how our family operates, or this is how this classroom operates, and this is just one of those things that we do, it becomes so much easier to talk about and more natural, and people can embrace it more because it's a unifying point of that
Yeah.
classroom or family or group.
Yeah. That's so good. It just aligns everybody.
Yes.
So
That's hope.
let me ask this. We have boys in our home, but we're also dealing with some of the same thing that teenage girls go through, right? Would be applicable, I'm guessing still.
100%. There is
Yeah.
nothing in the book that says, as a girl, you should blah, blah, blah. None of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I designed it with my daughters in mind because,
Absolutely. Yeah.
as entrepreneurs know, we have to have an ideal client in mind.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
definitely designed it with them in mind. I asked them, like, flipping through it and showing them pages and like, oh yeah, that looks exciting, or I like that, or whatever. It's designed with them in mind, but it's applicable every time I talk about my fiercest framework and the elements of it, I have adult middle-aged women and adult middleaged men coming to me and saying, man, this is really great stuff. Like I could use this. And they're almost like telling me like they're surprised. And I'm like, yeah, that's accurate because I teach it because I'm still learning it. Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We always teach what we know. Right. And like what we've walked through. So
yes,
that's
exactly.
so good. So what's next for Beyond the Benchmark?
Honestly, I already have the second book.
I'm sorry, be the
That's
benchmark.
Okay. We can go beyond the benchmark too. Whatever works.
Keep going. Maybe that's the name of your next book. I don't know.
I really am. My mind is already on the next book as far as which has to do with developing healthy relationships when you're in your teen years with parents, with teachers, with other people that are peers or frenemies or enemies or what have you. Yeah. So that's what the next book is about. And that will be coming in the spring. Oh, thinking about that is crazy. And really, I want to, in any way I can, help parents, caregivers, supporters of youth with this fierce framework. If this is something that they think would be helpful in their group, I am planning to go on a speaking tour so that I can talk to youth groups, talk to classrooms, talk to parent organizations and say, here's ways that you can bring this very simply, very easy. Because you know what? None of us need one more thing to do.
Right.
None of us need another thing on our checklist that feels like we're failing or we're not doing good enough or it's not.
Yes, amen.
That is not what this is about. This is about simply memorizing these 6 things quickly, easily, and having almost life hacks of ways to implement them in our lives because all of them are based on research and science that these are quality things that we should be doing in order to live a healthier, happier life.
That's so good. That's so good. I love it because it's so easy when we're in like valleys, right? To like come into agreement with something that's like that negative mindset because that's what you know. So like that's all you're talking about is just coming into agreement with a new way of thinking that propels you forward rather than keeps you stuck or allows you to go backwards.
Yeah.
Did I nail it there? Because that's what
you
I'm
totally
hearing.
did. You totally did. Because, and that's when we think about the steps of the fierce morning, the 6 steps. So like the last one is encourage others.
Yeah.
Because it's all about taking all of the habits that are internal so that we can be our happiest, healthiest self, and then allowing those to be put out in the world in a beautiful way so that we can have this ripple effect on other people. Because ultimately, isn't that the goal? Like, if I'm happy and healthy, but everyone around me is a sourpuss, is that any good? That's not not helpful. So absolutely. And checking ourselves throughout the day, like when we're in those valleys, when we're feeling not sure of ourselves or depressed or upset or frustrated or all of those feelings. Exactly. Yeah. Going back really quickly through the 6 steps and saying, ooh, did I skip any of those this morning? Or would one of them be helpful if I went ahead and did a little bit more of that now? Because we know based on science and experience, these are things that are going to make a difference in my mood, in my attitude, in my life. And it's not toxic positivity. It's not just saying like, oh, be happy today. Yeah. No, it is the opposite of that. It is recognizing where we're at and then utilizing a tool for what we need to move forward.
So good. So good. That sounds amazing. Well, what else? Is there anything else that you want to share with anyone that's listening today that's resonating with it, that is thinking, hey, my daughter could use this?
Right.
Yeah. What do you want to share with them?
The biggest thing as a parent of my 3 daughters and thinking about how I want them to feel as young women in this world, the things that I want them to embody. Yeah. The confidence of walking in who you are and who you were meant to be. There's nothing better than that. Yeah. As a mom to watch your daughters do that. And there's nothing harder than watching the opposite of that happen. And for that reason, that's why I kid you not, literally the moment that I birthed my first child, I had this download, this spiritual download of like, wow, this is way bigger and way heavier than you thought it was going to be, Erin. Yeah. And I'm going to give you everything you need to walk through this with her.
Yeah.
And I could see how everything that I'd been doing up until that point with getting my education degree and becoming a personal development junkie and going to leadership summits at, different conferences and these things, I could see how all of those things were working together to prepare me for really what I view as my most important role, which is being her mom and their mom now, all three of them. And I knew that I needed to be proactive. I knew that I had to have a sense of what I wanted her life to look like at 35 and work my way backwards.
That's so
because
good.
I didn't want to wait until she was suffering from panic attacks at 16 and I had no idea what to do. Right. I wanted to make, you know what I mean? Or whatever it is,
yeah,
that your parent mind and your mom guilt's mind worries about, like, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if I didn't want to worry about any of those what ifs? I wanted to start preparing because you never know. Right.
Right.
And that's really what the Fierce Morning and everything that I work with girls on and support parents through, because that's the beauty of what I do with one-on-one coaching with girls, is the parents just give me a support no matter what, even if they don't want me. I'm like, I'm here. Here's what I've talked to your daughter about this week. Here's what we're working on, or here's whatever, they get me, because I also, through this work and through being an educator, and just the heart that I have for people, is they're all our kids. Like, my kids are my kids, but also your kids are my kids.
That's so
and
good.
The community has to work together. It has to be all of us developing kiddos with confidence and strength and critical thinking skills and love for others. Like, if we have to be proactive with it. We can't assume it's going to happen.
Yeah.
We have to be proactive and put the tools and the steps in place to help make that a reality for them, because that's what's best for all of us.
Love it. So good. So good. It's like that. It really does take a village mentality, right?
Yes.
That so many people have lost.
Yes.
Yeah. So good. Well, Erin, it has been a pleasure just chatting with you today. I can't wait to read your book and convert it to boy language. Just so I can just make sure. And that's always been a goal of ours too, is like to be the very best parents that we can be, but we always can learn more too. Right.
I'm always learning. We're all always learning. And that is our proof that we're doing it right.
Yeah.
Because we don't think we've ever arrived.
Right. Amen to that. Amen to that. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing with us. If people want to find you, where can they find you, Erin?
The easiest place is my website, erintar.com. That's tar with 2 R's. And I'm also really active on all the socials and things like that. And I love having new friends and seeing what everyone else is up to. I am a total extrovert, love connecting with people. So feel free to contact me through that website or anywhere.
In the show notes too, so they can find you. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Perfect. Thanks for having me, Jen. Have a great day.